wit about complexion when the country is deeply divided over essential governance. Hey, white dudes, unless you have something to add other than pigmentation, slink away. Kamala Harris's rise in the polling is being fueled by women of color and younger Americans who know little about the world. Think back to when you were 22. It's too painful for me to do that. Big dope is the description I'll cop to. But as dense as I was, skin color was never a factor for me regarding anything. No West Side Story, no Sharks and Jets. I played on an all-black baseball team, the Brooklyn Monarchs. Only the manager was white, an older Jewish guy. His advice to a 6'4" right-handed pitcher was straightforward. Don't walk anybody. We don't like that. We, the team, tough, impatient guys. I threw strikes. Anyway, if you are on the skin color team, you're a moron. Like the dudes, like the BLMs. That's it. No debate. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Name in town if you wish to opine. Now let's go to the mail. We have Raymond de Cesare, Ringgold, New Jersey. Bill, you probably already know this, but in 1949, Albert Einstein said there will come a time when the rich will own all of the media and it'll be impossible for the public to make an informed opinion. You are correct, Raymond. That was written in a socialist journal by Einstein, and he's a prophet. Peter, concierge member. Peter gets direct access to me. If Peter has a problem, we will help him. Think about concierge membership. I'm a Christian, but I didn't react with revulsion when I saw the Olympic exposition. I just thought what they did was disappointing and disgusting, but I paid it no more mind. Okay. But leadership is different. I think you want to protect your religion. Maurice, concierge member. Thank you, Maurice. The athletes should not suffer because of bad decision by the Olympic Games leadership. They're not. Nobody's holding anything against the athletes. And the TV ratings for the Olympics are good. Joseph, concierge member 3 in a row. Joseph. Bill, you said you supported term limits for the Supreme Court. About an amendment for term limits for Congress. Yeah, I'm a term limits guy. Now, in the Supreme Court situation, you have to grandfather. You can't slap those term limits on the present court. That would be unfair. Okay. But I think 20, 25 years, that sounds fair to me. Susan bought a package of chicken breast cutlets. It cost me $7 a pound. Insane. I'd never pay $52 for a plate of chicken. That was my commentary yesterday. Go to a restaurant, it's $52 for chicken. Come on. In a moment, something you might not know. Everything is expensive these days. You know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall. But there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. So please call or text them right now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532.
The wait is over. President Trump endorses Bill Eigel for governor. Bill Eigel, true America First conservative and the first to endorse President Trump. Bill Eigel is the only candidate who will take on the Jeff City swamp. Listen to Trump-endorsed conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Bold conservative Bill Eigel. Ban personal property taxes. Deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Bill Eigel. Politicians hate him, special interests fear him, and Trump endorsed him. Vote Trump endorsed Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 92 years ago today, small political party from Bavaria, Germany, won 38% of the popular vote in that country. 48 months later, its leader would have total control over the entire nation. Here is the story of the Nazi Party. January 1919, a locksmith named Anton Drexler founded the German Workers' Party. The group held their first major gathering that September 1919. Attending was a young veteran from World War I, Adolf Hitler. By the early 1920s, the group was renamed the National Socialist Party, better known as the Nazis. Hitler assumed control of the organization. He organized rallies and meetings in Munich and other cities. Yet the Nazis remained relatively unpopular. It was the Great Depression that catapulted the party. 1924, the organization had just 25,000 members. By the end of 1930, 6 years later, I should say, that number grew to 12 million. On July 31st, 1932, the Nazis won the vote in the German national election. Second place was the Socialist Party. Third place, the Communists. The final result, 75% of the German people voted against democracy. Well, the Nazis immediately consolidated power. January 1933, Hitler was named Chancellor. After the death of President Hindenburg in 1934, Hitler abolished the title of Chancellor, declaring himself the Führer, the leader. By July, the dictator designated the Nazis as the only legitimate political party in the fatherland. The Third Reich had begun. Membership became mandatory for civil servants, teachers, members of the media, and bureaucrats. Party dominated every aspect of German society. The organization controlled sports, healthcare, daycare, education, marriage, art, religion. Hitler's fantasy of a 1,000-year Reich ended after he lost the war he started in 1945 and committed suicide. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty at all, listen up. Car Shield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that's now available to the public. Save on out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. So please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-925-7584 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low in price. Drivers who activate the vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote, 800-925-7584, 800-925-7584. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-925-7584. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. A federal appeals court has ruled that Texas's floating Rio Grande barrier can stay for now. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
The decision Tuesday by the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals overturns a previous decision by a panel of the court. The shorter-term ruling is the latest development in a new standoff between Texas and President Biden's administration over immigration on the state's 1,200-mile border with Mexico. The broader lawsuit in district court is set for an August 6th trial, where the Biden administration accuses Texas of violating the Federal Rivers and Harbor Act. I'm Julie Walker.
Colombia's leader is making a request of Venezuela's president concerning Venezuela's recent election. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro has called on his close ally, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, to release detailed vote counts of the weekend election, in which electoral authorities declared Maduro the winner. Petro's comments follow harsh criticism from the international community of Maduro and his ruling party-loyal National Election Council, which is yet to release any polling center-level results, as it's done in previous elections. Maduro's toughest challenger, Edmundo González, and opposition leader Maria Corina Machado say the release of those figures would show the president has indeed lost the election. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
In a news conference, Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell says the Fed has not decided when to start cutting rates.
The broad sense of the committee is that we're getting closer to the point at which it will be appropriate to reduce our policy rate, but that we're not quite at that point yet.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 99 points, the Nasdaq rose 451, the S&P advanced 85 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
The new two-part documentary, Trump's Front Row Joes, is the first inside look at Trump's diehard fans.
The Front Row Joes are incredible people.
Camping out for days to be in the front row at every Trump rally to support their hero.
The kind of basis for all the rallies. There's like dead fans.
Trump's Front Row Joes, from executive producer Sean Spicer.
You had to love Mr. Donald Trump.
Trump's Front Row Joes. Watch it now. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, mainly expecting a dry evening, just a slim chance for a spot shower storm, better chance to the northeast. And then a low of 81 degrees, warm and muggy in the morning. There is a chance for a few storms in the morning and the afternoon to early evening. That could keep it a little cooler than we expect, but right now expect intense heat, 96, heat index 103 to 107. By Friday, mostly sunny, just a 20% chance for a spot shower storm in the afternoon. A high of 90, though, as it definitely gets a little cooler and a little less humid. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Are you ready for positive change in Jefferson County?
Hi, I'm Billy Crow, and I'm running for Jefferson County Council because I believe in a brighter future for our community. I spent my life working hard and listening to the needs of our neighbors. Together, we can build better schools, safer neighborhoods, and a stronger local economy.
Billy Crow has always been there for our community.
I trust Billy to bring fresh ideas and real solutions to Jefferson County.
Vote for a leader who cares. Vote Billy Crow for Jefferson County Council.
I'm Billy Crow, and I approve this message.
Paid for by friends of Billy Crow. Joyce Jenner, Treasurer. Attention thrill seekers and fun lovers. Did you know the Midwest's largest wooden roller rink is right here in Missouri? Welcome to Piccadilly Palace, your ultimate family entertainment destination. Glide across our massive skating floor, conquer arcade challenges, put your way through mini golf, and dive into cutting-edge virtual reality experiences. And coming soon, a relaxing bar and grill patio, state-of-the-art golf simulators, and heart-pounding two-story go-kart racing next to East Central College in Union, Missouri. Plan your visit now at PiccadillyPalace.com. That's PiccadillyPalace.com.
By now, you've heard Adam Schnelting's false attack ads. Don't buy his lies. Adam Schnelting says he opposes the transgender agenda, but he's trying to conceal the truth. Schnelting has received more than $71,000 from liberal trial lawyers. Those same trial lawyers supporting Schnelting also gave over $100,000 to a liberal group that supports men playing girls' sports, supports men using girls' bathrooms, and even supports gender mutilation surgeries for minors. To make matters worse, Adam Schnelting says he supports our gun rights, but he's received thousands from leading anti-gun lawyers that filed a massive lawsuit against gun makers and gun owners. But that's not all. These liberal lawyers don't just fund Adam Schnelting's campaign, their anti-gun lawsuits, or the transgender movement. They've also been leading funders of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and even the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. Adam Schnelting. With friends like that, conservatives just can't trust him. On August 6th, don't forget Adam Schnelting. He's loved by liberals, and he lies like one too.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a Happy Hump Day, Wednesday version of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. 6 days before the all-important Missouri statewide primary. Less than 100 days to the November general election. Really amazing indeed. 4:07 in the PM, July 31st, 2024. I'm Tim Jones. Chris Arps by my side as well. How you doing, Chris Arps?
Tim Jones, I'm doing fantastic. Joey is in the studio with us too. Joey, turn your mic on.
I'm going to PJ's Coffee in O'Fallon tomorrow, bright and early.
There you go.
Mike Ferguson.
PJ's!
3:30 a.m. I'm getting up to hang out with Mike Ferguson.
I will be there at around 7 at PJ's Coffee out there in O'Fallon. Tim, are you going to make it out there tomorrow morning, sir?
Well, I do have a meeting at 11:30 over in St. Charles at the wonderful Soda Museum, courtesy of Tom Smith, the proprietor and owner, good friend of mine. So maybe I'll just have to get up a little earlier and head up to St. Charles a little earlier and see all you guys at PJ's Coffee. I understand that Mike has a huge lineup of a ton of the folks who are running for office next Tuesday. And if you're going to be there, Chris, and Joey's going to be there, I should probably be there because Mike and Gabe and Stell going to be there, or Stell back here?
Stell's going to be running the board back here, but anyone who shows up, I'm going to throw a fully covered beignet at anyone who comes in, powdered sugar to the face. If you're feeling freaky.
And I've got to tell you, the beignets at PJ's are just incredible. You feel like you are in New Orleans. They are soft, they are fluffy, they're like pillows of just ecstasy with powdered sugar. I get it all over my shirt, all over my mouth. Thankfully, I have a white beard, so it kind of blends in. Perfect. A little bit.
Well, I definitely got to go to see all this.
Yeah. Becky told me don't wear your red shirt tomorrow because you'll have powdered sugar all over the thing.
We have a bunch of other PSA announcements because Chris and I got so wrapped up in how awesome the show was and how quickly it was going. Joey gave us both demerits after the show because we forgot to make these announcements. One of them was the PJ's Coffee announcements. Okay, so check. We just did that. How about the fact that Mark McCloskey, Chris, he's on fire every Sunday night here at News Talk STL. He is going to speak at the Missouri GOP Trump office, of course, which is at Gravois Bluffs. You know the office. You've been there a million times with us. Chris and I have broadcasted from there with Joey. We've been there for St. Louis Young Republicans trivia nights. We've been there for debates. We've been there for everything under the sun, barbecues. Mark McCloskey's going to be there. The Missouri GOP, St. Louis County GOP Trump office this Thursday. That's tomorrow. Chris, tomorrow's August 1st. What the heck happened in July?
Incredible.
August 1st. They're having their Patriots meeting tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. Our good friends Eric Swanson and Richard from Newsteaders will be there. There's an informal after party at one of the local adult establishments. Hey, everything's legal. A little watering hole they'll probably head to afterwards. They're all going to be there. They'd love for you all to be there as well. 6 to 8 p.m. at the GOP headquarters down at Gravois Bluffs, right next door. It's in between Friar Tuck's and J.C. Penney, right there at Gravois Bluffs. And finally, Chris, something that we all will be doing next Tuesday. Tuesday is Election Day in Missouri. News Talk STL has you covered with everything you need to know. Join us for live and local election coverage with everybody on the station and beyond, starting at 7 p.m. Tony Colombo will be kicking things off in studio. We'll be speaking to candidates, analyzing the races, bringing you up-to-the-minute results throughout the night. You're going to want to listen to us, folks. There's a million things on the ballot, not just statewide, not just regional, but local as well. There's a ton of stuff. We're going to be the ones who are able to cover it all here at News Talk STL, your home for America Decides 2024. Thank you so much to Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood, your neighborhood, our neighborhood bakery. Visit them, greatharvestmaplewood.com. Whew, there you go.
Boy, they have the best muffins there. The pumpkin chocolate chip muffins are just a dive for. Absolutely. You know, Tim, the big news today is not the presidential elections or anything domestically. It's on the international front. And I can't wait to speak to Steve Bucci about this tomorrow. Israel is picking the terrorists off like fish in a barrel. 2 days, 2 terrorists. I think cut, 3, Joey? They killed the Hamas political leader today. So let's hear that.
Breaking overnight, the political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, has been killed in Iran. Details around the exact nature of his death still emerging, but Iranian state TV immediately pinning the blame on Israel. Iran's supreme leader is now vowing revenge against Israel. The death of the Hamas leader comes after Israeli Defense Forces also carried out a strike on Beirut, killing a top Hezbollah commander who was behind a weekend rocket attack that killed 12 young people on a soccer field.
And Tim, you can't make this up. Secretary Austin said that he does not believe this will lead to a regional war, and that here's the kicker, that diplomacy is still on the table for this with Hamas. Diplomacy with Hamas.
With the terrorists. Yeah, it's just not working. You know what we can talk about with that, Chris? We're gonna have ridiculous. We're gonna have one of Missouri's congressmen on today. Congressman Sam Graves is on at 5:25. We'll be able to ask him about that, along with a ton of other things. The congressman, of course, on the transportation, the House, he is, I think he's the chair. Yeah, he's the chair of the House Transportation Committee. So he'll have an opinion, I'm sure, about some of these foreign matters as well. Chris, at 5:07, there's a couple of ballot initiatives on the ballot that we haven't talked about much. We talked about one of them yesterday with David Stokes. We're going to talk about the other one. It's number 4 with State Senator Tony Leutkemeyer. He's from kind of the Sam Graves part of the world over there in Northwest Missouri. He's got some strong opinions on why you should vote for Amendment 4. We'll talk to him at 5:07, and then all the way back up to 4:25 in just a few moments. Zack Smith, who was unfortunately a little under the weather last week, we hear he is back at it, Chris, and he's going to join us today to talk about Joe Biden's 5th, 6th, 7th attempt to try to destroy the Supreme Court and more.
You know, one thing a question that I'm going to have for Congressman Graves at 5:24, since he's on the Transportation Committee, and we've talked to Dave many times about this so-called MetroLink expansion down Jefferson Boulevard. I would like to know, hopefully he can influence people there on the committee to not pay or not appropriate this $1 billion for this boondoggle. I wonder if he's even aware of this. He may be, but he's the person to talk to about this, since he's on the Transportation Committee, and will be responsible for doling out this $1 billion for this boondoggle.
And many of you, I'm really excited to have Sam Graves on. Chris and I, of course, know him, but he's probably not a household name on this side of the state. But he is one of Missouri's longest currently serving congressmen. He's from Northwest Missouri. He has been in office for quite a while. He's a pilot, actually. He's a private. I think he flies his own aircraft. I don't know if he flies them to D.C. or not, because that's probably a pain. But I know he is very involved with all sorts of transportation issues, of course, as the chair of the House Transportation Committee. So a lot of questions for Congressman Sam Graves. You're going to want to tune in at 5:25 to hear a congressman on the St. Louis airwaves that you probably don't ever get an opportunity to listen to.
And let's take this opportunity to brag a little bit on our 94.1 signal. One of the reasons why Congressman Graves is coming on the airwaves today is because our 94.1 signal reaches up to his district in Northwest Missouri. It literally stretches from one end of Missouri all the way to the other end of Missouri in the northern part of the state. So those listening in 94.1 up in Rawls County and up in the Hannibal area, Bowling Green, that's their congressman, and they will hear him at 5:24.
I saved our News Talk STL newsletter, which comes out every Wednesday. So I would remember to speak about it. Chris and I, and probably all of you as well, get a bazillion emails a day. You sift through them and you triage them and keep the important ones. This is an important one. You can get this newsletter that the one and only executive producer extraordinaire, Joey Vucevic, puts together every week.
Yeah.
Joey, you did a fantastic job on this. And I want you to talk about one of the featured items, which you also helped put together. You have a voter guide for next Tuesday, August the 6th.
Yeah, just click on through to our News Talk STL page. And at the very bottom, you can see our newsletters if you're not already subscribed. And of course, you can subscribe while you're there. But the one thing that the brass over here at News Talk, they wanted to make sure everyone was informed. So go and see some of these voter resources. The one you at least have to look at is Ballotpedia. Put in your address. It's not so they can collect information. It's so they can show you the exact ballot you're going to see when you go to the voting booth. I know some people are complaining to you, Tim. They want to vote for people that they hear these commercials for, and they find out they're not even on their ballot. So you got to know who you're voting for, what amendments you're voting for. It'll be helpful.
Joey, I've got to be candid with you here on the radio. I'm a little disappointed in this week's newsletter, to be honest with you. Only 5 out of the 6 articles on there were about me and Tim.
I don't know. Sometimes I have to be nice to the other shows.
Okay.
I don't want to do it.
He
does get crabby.
He does give a
Let's
little
monitor that.
Yeah, he does give a little nod to Todd Showalter. He's got those fancy cartoons there at the bottom. So the Right Mind Show every Saturday here at News Talk STL, right, Joey?
Yeah, and that's the name of the newsletter this week. Voting resources for the Tuesday, August 6th primary. So scroll down to the bottom of News Talk STL. You'll see it. Sign up. Perfect.
Fantastic indeed. Yeah, folks. If you're going to wait to vote for some of these folks that are your favorites in the Missouri House, Senate running statewide, and you're going to wait to vote for November, they may not be on the ballot because you failed to go vote for them in August. There's a bazillion people on the ballot. We'll break a lot of that down as we go through the week here. But Governor, I know you've heard the names Ashcroft and Eigel and Kehoe. Don't get confused. When you look at the gubernatorial ballot, you're going to see 9 names on there. For better or for worse, a lot of those folks have not gained a lot of traction, haven't raised a lot of money. But if your favorite candidate's in the middle, you're going to have to focus on that. Lieutenant Governor, 7 people running. Secretary of State, 8 people running. Treasurer, 5 people running. So I don't want you all to be blown away. Chris, I think we're speaking to the choir here.
Mm-hmm.
All of you know all these things because you listen to us every day. You listen to the station every day. You need to really inform the people who aren't listening to News Talk STL, your family, your friends, your coworkers. Number 1, get them all to the voting booth next week. Number 2, tell them you better look at this ballot ahead of time or you're going to be spending a half an hour trying to figure out who's on first looking at this ballot next week.
Mm-hmm. Going back to this Hamas leader who was assassinated, I did have one question about this. We know that these Hamas leaders have been hiding in the underground tunnels like the rats that they are because they know that Israel has vowed to eliminate and to kill them. But he was assassinated because he was attending the inauguration of Iran's new leader. And I'm like, saying to myself, and I posted this, I'm like, with all the sophisticated surveillance equipment that Israel and the United States have, why would you venture outside to another country and go to this inauguration for this president when you know they can listen into you, they're tracking you with drones? Who knows? That bird that was near him might have been a drone with a camera, and I'm glad they got him, but that was really kind of foolish.
Well, and doesn't this prove once and for all, if anybody had any doubt, let's dispel that once and for all, the connection between the terrorists in the Middle East and Iran, right? It is inarguable. It's incontrovertible. And the Harris-Biden, I think we should start calling them the Harris-Biden administration from now until Election Day, because Kamala Harris is probably one of the people who was actually calling the shots all along because Joe Biden wasn't. So the Harris-Biden administration have been appeasing Iran for the last 3.5 years. We've talked about it a million times with Steve Bucci, with Jim Talent, with other foreign policy experts. Why they're appeasing them is beyond us. I guess it's to continue what Barack Obama and Joe Biden did. But appeasing Iran only results in further terrorism. So if you want us to continue to support the terrorists and appease them, vote for Kamala Harris in November. If you want to try to make our foreign policy great again, you vote for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
And I think the philosophy behind the liberals' appeasement is even if they don't want to do anything to create any type of military situation or potential war, because they don't believe that their people will support any military action, even if Americans are hurt or killed. They don't believe their people would support that. And we had liberals during the Iraq War. Barbara Lee, who ran for California governor during the first Iraq War, she voted against that. I mean, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, was dismantling ventilators for babies. She voted against that war. She voted against 9/11, going against Afghanistan. So it's incredible. You know, when we come back, Tim, 445, Chris's Corner, I'm going to talk about the uproar at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention. You will never guess who the uproar is about. You'll never, ever guess. And that's at 445.
I listened to it. I will not spill the beans. I listened to it on the way in. It was actually kind of disgraceful, but at least there was a couple decent people there asking some good questions. Speaker's stump speech. I'm going to give you all a gift in preparation for Election Day. People say, well, how do I find out about these people on the ballot? Well, I'm going to tell you, anybody who has a legislative record at all, there are 3 excellent resources that you can go to. I didn't create them. I have nothing to do with them. I respect these organizations, and you should too, when I tell you who they are. Speaker's stump speech at 5:07 will be how to find out who is scoring your legislator and what are they giving them. I'm going to give you the tools to go find that out as well. Help with your homework is what I'm calling it. Chris, it's right now 4:22 in the PM here in the Central Time Zone. We're going to head to a break because, boy, do we have a million questions to ask our next guest, Zack Smith, the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. What's wrong with Joe Biden's attacks on the Supreme Court? Where to begin? We'll talk about that next. Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, mainly expecting a dry evening, just a slim chance for a spot shower storm, better chance to the northeast. And then a low of 81 degrees, warm and muggy in the morning. There is a chance for a few storms in the morning and the afternoon to early evening. That could keep it a little cooler than we expect, but right now expect intense heat, 96, heat index 103 to 107. By Friday, mostly sunny, just a 20% chance for a spot shower storm in the afternoon, a high of 90, though, as it definitely gets a little cooler and a little less humid. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
On August 6th, your vote will shape our community's future. Introducing Representatives John Simmons and Kyle Marquardt, 2 candidates with starkly different records. John Simmons, a staunch conservative, has consistently cut taxes and defended parents' rights for education choice. He believes in limited government and safeguarding our privacy. Simmons even championed legislation to secure our elections, ensuring integrity at every step. In contrast, Kyle Marquardt voted to expand welfare and increase government spending, and also supported invasive, warrantless government drone searches. When it comes to protecting your rights and hard-earned money, the choice is clear. John Simmons is not just making promises, he's delivered real results. It's time to make your voice heard in the Republican primary. Vote John Simmons, the representative with the proven conservative voting record. Paid for by Nova PAC, James Murphy, Treasurer.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill, and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Are you tired of establishment politics? Meet Adam Schnelting, your true conservative choice for state Senate. Adam Schnelting, husband, father, soldier, and member of the House Freedom Caucus. Adam authored the legislation that ended abortion in Missouri and is the grassroots candidate Jefferson City fears. Unlike his opponent Phil Cristofanelli, who's backed by lobbyists and Democrats, Adam's support comes from right here in St. Charles County. It's time for real conservative leadership. Vote Adam Schnelting for state Senate.
Paid for by Leadership for America PAC, John Royal, Treasurer.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Hey, want to amaze your friends when they visit? They will be impressed when they see your custom-made drapes, blinds, or shutters. Michael Proctor will personally help you pick out the correct colors to truly showcase your home. Then he will actually design and personally install everything. No overhead markup. That's going to save you a lot of money on drapes, blinds, or shutters.
Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
I'm Jim Bolin, running to represent West St. Louis County in the Missouri Senate. Growing up in Texas County, my dad always said, all hat and no cattle, about those who talk big but do little. I built a successful business, cleaned up City Hall as mayor, and now I'm ready to clean up Jefferson City. We need to jail repeat offenders, stop taxpayer funding for illegals, cut taxes, protect our children, and defend our liberties from the radical left. I'm Jim Bolin, and I would appreciate your vote on August the 6th. Let's get it done.
Paid for by Bolin from Missouri, Cindy Samagi, Treasurer.
Hi, this is former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch. I am proud to endorse my friend Mark Harder for State Senate District 15. Other local leaders endorsing Mark include Chesterfield Mayor Bob Nation, Baldwin Mayor Tim Pogue, Eureka Mayor Sean Flower, and Ellisville Mayor Mike Romerman, among many others. They know what I know, that Mark is the type of conservative leader we need in Jefferson City. Mark Harder, the right choice for State Senate 15 and my choice. Vote smarter, vote harder in the August 6th primary.
Paid for by citizens to elect Mark Harder, Chuck McCluskey, Treasurer.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
We've had term limits for presidents of the United States for nearly 75 years after the Truman administration. And I believe we should have term limits for Supreme Court justices of the United States as well. In fact, the United States is the only major constitutional democracy that gives lifetime seats in their high court. Term limits would help ensure that the court membership changes with some regularity. Reduce the chance that any single presidency imposes undue influence in generations to come.
428 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Tim will ask our next guest if 18-year term limits are a good thing for the court and our democracy.
Oh, it's all perfectly legal.
You are out of order! You're out of order! You're out of order! The whole trial is out of order!
Zack Smith, legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation. You know, I ask you a lot of predictions. Can you predict what the Supreme Court probably will do with this action?
Zach, welcome into the show. Before we get to business, I've got to say that we're glad to have you today. We hope that you are feeling better today. Last week during the break, we were contemplating in the studio on calling 911 down there in Pensacola and doing a house check, a wellness check on you because we couldn't get you. Are you okay?
Well, I'm feeling a lot better. I would have much rather been with you guys last week. I was a little under the weather, but I'm on the mend, and I'm glad to be back with you guys this week. So good to be with you.
All right. You sound strong and intellectual.
Well, I'm glad I can fake it till I make it.
There you go.
That latter point.
All right, Zach, you heard that clip there. President Biden on his way out is talking about a proposal that has a snowballing chance of ever passing. But talk about the one plank, the 18-year term limits. How is that supposed to be structured, if you know? And how is that damaging to our system that we know now that the founding fathers gave us?
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Chris. I think this really is designed to be some sort of electioneering push in the run up to the presidential election. I think that's obvious by the fact that even House Democrats came out and said that Joe Biden didn't consult with them before he pushed forward this plan. And look, it's not particularly surprising that he pushed out this plan, despite the fact that it would be very damaging to our court system. Now, in terms of the mechanics, how it's supposed to work, I don't really know. Joe Biden didn't give a lot of details about how that would work. He did mention in his proposal that, at least for some aspects of it, constitutional amendment would be needed to overrule the presidential immunity decision that the court just released. But he didn't talk about how the term limits piece would be implemented. But that, of course, in my view, I think correctly, would require a constitutional amendment to implement some type of term limits for Supreme Court justices or any other federal court judges, because our Constitution provides that they serve during good behavior, which typically means they serve for life. Now, I also think it's important to keep in mind why our judges and justices serve for life. If you go back and read the Federalist Papers, if you go back and read what Alexander Hamilton, James Madison wrote, they didn't want federal judges, they didn't want Supreme Court justices to be unduly influenced by the politics of the day. They didn't want them to make decisions with an eye toward what their next gig would be, worrying about what would happen when they left the court. And so they gave them life tenure. I think those reasons for providing life tenure still exist today. But look, we can have a debate about it. But unfortunately, I don't think that's really Joe Biden's purpose in doing this. He's just doing it in a pretty poor attempt to score some cheap political points.
Yeah, Zach, you went right where I was going to go next, and I want to ask you, and you've started to answer it. Why all these proposals? It's been one after another, Zach, over the last 3.5 years. It's been pack the court, stack the court, do a new quote ethics code of conduct for the court. Now we're going to put term limits on the court. We're going to have age limits on the court. Zach, there's been plenty of decisions that you and I and Chris have discussed over the last 3.5 years that we haven't been too happy about. There's ones that we have been happy about. It's been kind of a mixed bag, which is probably what it should be. And I would bet that if every decision went Joe Biden's way, according to his personal opinion and that of Kamala Harris, they probably wouldn't be talking about these, quote, reforms at all. Zach, these aren't reforms, are they? They're basically efforts to punish the court for not following their ideological directives, I would think, over the last few years. I hate to be so cynical. What say you?
No, I don't think you're cynical, Tim. I think that's unfortunately true. And it's not only an effort to undermine the court's legitimacy as an institution, which some of these so-called reforms are designed to do, but there's also been a concerted effort to target certain justices on the court. All this talk about the ethics code, the need for ethics reforms, a lot of that has been focused on Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Justice Alito's wife had the audacity to fly a flag outside of her home and another one outside of their beach house, a flag that George Washington himself commissioned, the Appeal to Heaven flag. Apparently that is somehow now a racist symbol, according to many on the left. But this is really an effort to undermine the legitimacy of the court and the legitimacy of these two justices, because I think both Justice Alito and Justice Thomas have shown they're not willing to bow to the political pressures of the day. They're not willing to compromise on their duties as justices, and they're going to look at the law, they're going to look at the Constitution, and faithfully apply it as they believe it should be applied. Now, you can disagree with how they apply it in certain instances. I'm sure none of us would agree with every decision they've ever made, but I think we should respect that approach to their job, to how they approach their job of, judging, which is to interpret the law, apply it to certain cases, and not to impose their own preferred policy preferences. And that is what the left is so mad about, because they had become accustomed to very liberal justices imposing their own preferred policy preferences instead of applying the Constitution and the laws as they're written.
We are, of course, speaking with Zack Smith, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation and co-host of the SCOTUS 101 podcast. Zack, he's described as a judicial ethics philanthropist. Jim Kohlberg is pouring $30 million of his fortune into a new effort with the Brennan Center for Justice that will, quote, fund research, public outreach, and public advocacy, over a decade. What do you think they're going to do with this $30 million to overhaul the court? And does it have a chance of being successful?
Well, I think you're going to continue, unfortunately, to see more of the political hit jobs that you've seen so far on Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, many of the efforts to push these so-called reform efforts. Look, and I think it's important to understand the Brennan Center is a very left-leaning think tank. They have taken far left positions on many, many issues. And so this is in line with what we've been talking about, this effort to push forward, sway public opinion that our court system needs to be fundamentally reformed. Look, I think there are good reasons why that effort is misguided, to put it very, very mildly. But fundamentally, I also think it's important to keep in mind that any changes to the tenure of judges or justices, any changes to the institution of the court itself, cannot happen by and large, cannot happen by simple legislation and would need a constitutional amendment. That's a very high hurdle to cross. And so I think those on the left certainly have their work cut out for them, but it looks like they're gearing up for a very real fight.
Zach, you made a reference to something just now that reminded me of something I saw on your Twitter X feed at TZ Smith about a week or so ago, when the great transition was in progress of flipping out one really bad messenger for hopefully a better one, but Joe Biden, Kamala Harris for Joe Biden, to preserve the message. And, you know, Zach, it's really rich, isn't it, that the Democratic Party on all of their public policy proposals says, you know, we're going to install a candidate now without any single votes being cast for that candidate. We want to dismantle the Electoral College. We want to, quote, reform the Supreme Court, basically so we can try to force and convince them to start issuing opinions our way. We want to prevent everyday Americans from speaking up at their school boards and praying silently in front of abortion clinics. We're going to censor people from putting things on various social media sources. We're going to, you know, kind of put our thumb on the scale of these social media companies and force them to censor certain Americans, but not others. Zach, that's pretty rich coming from the party that says they, quote, are going to save democracy, isn't it?
Yeah, all of those things you described, Tim, they certainly don't sound very democratic to me. But what do I know? But look, I think unfortunately this is again part of the backlash that it's, you know, rules for thee but not for me, and that is what has happened so often over the past several years. Is that those on the right are told that we are threats to democracy, that we're trying to break the rules. Yet what is actually happening is those on the left are in fact trying to bend the rules to their own advantage. We saw that in past elections with the rules and procedures for casting ballots being changed even after some individuals had already started voting. And so I think this is a problem with many on the left, that they are trying to twist the system to their own advantage all the while projecting on those on the right, you know, claiming that they're doing the very thing that those on the left are actually doing in so many instances.
We all remember, Zach, the horrible shooting in Michigan, school shooting in 2021. Ethan Crumbley killed 4 of his classmates. This is from FT, I forgot the name of it, magazine. They said for the first time in American history, the parents of a school shooter have been found guilty of complicity in their child's crimes. Is that really a step forward? Your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Chris, and I suspect you may see some more of this type of conversation coming up with Thomas Crooks. You know, obviously the person that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, and his parents' responsibility, you know, allowing him to procure access to the firearms, the ammunition, all of that sort of thing. So this conversation is likely to recur again, and it's a very interesting one to have. Certainly, you know, parents have a duty if their children are minors to, you know, make sure they are, you know, doing certain things and not doing other certain things. And often, if those parents own firearms or other dangerous implements, they also have a duty to secure those, hold them in a safe manner, not, you know, be negligent or reckless with how they're stored, that sort of thing. And so I think that's where a lot of the conversations will focus going forward. But certainly these are tragic circumstances. And, you know, again, I think no one comes out a winner whenever these types of things happen.
Mm-hmm. Speaking to Zack Smith of the Heritage Foundation. Zach, we've had all sorts of problems here in the city of St. Louis. You covered one of the biggest ones, former, thank goodness, prosecutor Kim Gardner. Zack, crime, and you wrote the book on it, Rogue Prosecutors. You can find that, of course, wherever you find books and at heritage.org. Zack, we've got a heck of a contest going on in here, and you don't have to. I don't want you to comment on the politics of it. I know you do public policy, not politics, but isn't it interesting, Zack, that issue that you all at Heritage, and especially you and a couple of your colleagues focused on, that's become an issue in Democratic primaries? The issue of where to stand on Israel, the issue of where to stand on the police. You even see Kamala Harris turning away from many of these positions she's so proudly trumpeted over the last few years. How interesting, Zack. It's almost like they're admitting that those policies were really bad ideas, huh?
Well, I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to see that those policies were bad ideas. And, it's interesting about Kamala Harris and her record. She obviously served for a period of time as the district attorney in San Francisco, served as the attorney general of California. And she's kind of like Burger King in some sense with her criminal justice policy. She wants everybody to be able to have it their way and view her record essentially however they want it to be viewed. If you listen to what she's saying over the past few days about being tough on crime, about locking up gangsters, it sounds pretty good. I don't think it actually comports with her record as district attorney or attorney general, but it sounds good. But then if you go look at what she says when she talks to left-leaning groups or what she said over the past few years, she says she wanted to be viewed as a progressive prosecutor, and certainly has expressed sympathy for many of these soft on crime policies that have been put forward by Chesa Boudin, her successor, one of her successors as San Francisco DA. While she was Attorney General of California, she certainly took soft on crime policies. And then as Vice President, don't forget, she was very supportive of the bail fund in Minnesota that was actively raising money to bail out many of the people who were rioting, looting, and burning places there in Minnesota and elsewhere around the country. And so I think Kamala Harris's record on criminal justice is actually pretty clear. She's actually pretty radical in many respects, but it's interesting to hear her talk about it now because it certainly seems like she's trying to soften that radical image to some extent, depending on who she's talking to and when she is giving, whatever remarks she's giving.
Zack, I got a question for you on this last Supreme Court term. We know that we had the Chevron case and another case I can't remember that kind of pared back the bureaucratic state a little bit. One challenge that they won't hear next term was to an Occupational Safety and Health Administration rules that could have pared back the agency's regulatory power. Why do you think the court did not accept that case?
It's a great question, Chris. It's interesting. Even though there are 9 justices on the court, and obviously it takes at least 5 justices to get a majority in a case, only 4 justices have to agree to hear a case. And we don't really know why the justices decide or to take a case or not take a case. Occasionally, individual justices will write a dissent saying, they think the court should have taken up a case, but they didn't do it. But otherwise, we don't really know because all of the court's deliberations take place behind closed doors. What I can say is this past term was a very big term in terms of paring back the administrative state. I suspect one of the things that may in play is that the court is waiting for the lower federal courts to apply the new rules they set down in the case that overturned the Chevron doctrine, the Loper-Bright case and the Relentless cases. Let the lower courts apply those new rules in some of the cases that are percolating their way up to the lower federal courts, see where the lower federal courts are having issues, where there may be disagreements in the lower federal courts, and let some of those issues percolate for a little bit of time before they dive back in and try to refine this area of law even further. But we don't really know, but I suspect that may be one of the reasons that the court didn't take up this most recent challenge.
One last question for you, Zack. NyQuil or Sudafed? Which one had you knocked out last week?
Chris, I don't know, but it was good stuff, and I'm feeling a lot better today.
Well, good.
So,
You sounded.
I'll take it.
You sounded healthy. You sounded strong. You gave good, clear, legal answers, which we always expect. So, Zack, you're back to normal. Thank you, sir.
Well, I appreciate it. It's good to be back with you guys.
And
Thanks for having me on.
we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Chris's Corner, Tim. We're going to talk about what happened at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Chicago. They had an uproar, and it was over one particular person. You'll never guess who it is. We'll talk about it on Chris's Corner At 447, you're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
All right, you sound strong and intellectual.
Well, I'm glad I can fake it till I make it.
There you go.
That latter point.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, mainly expecting a dry evening, just a slim chance for a spot shower storm, better chance to the northeast. And then a low of 81 degrees, warm and muggy in the morning. There is a chance for a few storms in the morning and the afternoon to early evening. That could keep it a little cooler than we expect, but right now expect intense heat, 96, heat index 103 to 107. By Friday, mostly sunny, just a 20% chance for a spot shower storm in the afternoon, a high of 90 though, as it definitely gets a little cooler and a little less humid. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michaels Flooring Outlet. Michaels Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michaels to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michaels. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Drugs, illegal immigration, crime. There's no law and order, and a crisis at the border. That's the Joe Biden record. But here in Jefferson County, Sheriff Dave Marshak isn't having any of it. Unlike the hug-a-thug policies of St. Louis, in Jefferson County, Dave Marshak puts criminals behind bars where they belong. Instead of allowing the insane to fund the police movement to win, he's hiring more cops with better pay and actually backing the blue. Illegal immigrants and cartel drugs? Not in Jeffco, amigo. Sheriff Dave Marshak's plan is simple, and it's working. In Jefferson County, crime is down, and Jeffco families are safe.
I'm Sheriff Dave Marshak. Unlike Joe Biden as your Jefferson County Sheriff, we're putting more cops on the street. We're enforcing the law and punishing criminals, and we're sending Mexican drugs back where they belong. On August 6th, vote Sheriff Dave Marshak for Jefferson County Sheriff to keep Jefferson County safe.
Paid for by Dave Marshak Election Committee. Mike Pruno, Treasurer.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The wait is over. President Trump endorses Bill Eigel for governor. Bill Eigel, true America First conservative and the first to endorse President Trump. Bill Eigel is the only candidate who will take on the Jeff City swamp. Listen to Trump-endorsed conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Bold conservative Bill Eigel. Ban personal property taxes. Deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Bill Eigel. Politicians hate him, special interests fear him, and Trump endorsed him. Vote Trump-endorsed Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC, paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. you have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Missourians, our future is under attack. Tax Hike Mike is fixing to devour your hard-earned money with gas taxes galore and another sky-high fee on your next car purchase. Kehoe's policies will flat-out destroy your wallet. His big old bus is fueled by donations from Chinese communists and George Soros surrogates. But there's hope. Jay Ashcroft, the true leader who fights with integrity against the lies, higher taxes, and the Jefferson City swamp. Vote Jay Ashcroft for governor now.
Paid for by Friends of J. Ashcroft PAC. Alexandra Lang, Treasurer.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show. National headlines and things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define. Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on News Talk, STL.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
The momentum in this race is shifting. And there are signs that Donald Trump is feeling it. So he won't debate. But he and his running mate sure seem to have a lot to say about me. And by the way, don't you find some of their stuff to just be plain weird? Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage, because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say,
4:51, and welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. There is presumptive Democratic nominee Kamala Harris feeling her oats there, challenging the former president to a debate. I haven't heard, Tim, personally, the president decline a debate with Kamala Harris. I don't know if that's just campaign rhetoric that she is spewing out there. But Kamala Harris has her own little controversy herself with the National Association of Black Journalists convention in Chicago. But she's not the one I'm talking about that is causing the uproar. Let's get to that next in Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
No, that person causing the uproar at the NABJ conference is our own Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump was planned to appear at a roundtable at the convention of Black journalists. But because he was showing up, there's been an intense backlash that his appearance has been canceled. And the person that Washington Post columnist Karen Attiah, who put the thing together, she announced that she would step down as the person of that committee to bring together this roundtable. One thing that I found very curious, and I think part of the reason why they are so upset about this and they stopped Donald Trump from coming, was Kamala Harris was given an invitation to speak at this conference. But she turned it down and said that she could appear virtually. The NABJ said that was not good enough and declined her offer to appear virtually. And so it could have been an opportunity, Tim, where President Trump had the whole audience to himself to speak to these journalists. But he did not, of course.
No, wait, he went.
Are you sure?
Yeah, there was a huge uproar over it. He was there today.
Because it said the planned appearance of Donald Trump at a convention of black journalists has prompted an intense backlash. There's an article that says...
I listened to it on the way in.
All right, well, good for them.
Sorry to correct. He was there.
Good for them, yeah. The initial news
Chris, it was ugly, by the way.
The initial news was that he was not going to attend this conference. And I admonished them on my Facebook page about that, look, you're supposed to be journalists, unbiased as you may, but we all know which way you lean. Is like you can't put aside your beliefs for 30 minutes to listen to a person that's running in a major party for president of the United States. And I went on to say that, the stultification of thinking, or you can't advance. All of us have to think the same. I don't think that helps black people in the long run. And I think I've said many times that the best path for black people is to be actively involved in both parties and vote your interests so that both parties will actively fight for your vote. It just doesn't make a lot of political sense to me, a good political strategy to put all of your eggs into one party's political basket, and you only reap any benefits when that party, or supposed benefits, let me put it that way, when that party is in power. When that party's not in power in the off years, you're just absolutely screwed. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that has been the strategy of the African-American leadership for many, many years since the civil rights era, which I've said many times in writings and here on the show, that strategy, I think, was necessary at a time when you had absolutely no rights, that folks had to stick together. But when you do have rights, and there's many more opportunities than we had back then, the strategy of all of us thinking the same, and which inhibits new ideas and new strategies, just is a foolish strategy. And I think we see that in results of African Americans compared to other ethnic groups, and the population at large is losing ground, and socially, economically, and culturally in a lot of areas. And I think that part of that same thinking is part of that. So I'm glad that the NABJ, they allowed Donald Trump to speak at their convention. There was a huge uproar. A person resigned, but I guess they saw how foolish it looks to claim you're a journalist, but you won't allow a major candidate for president of the United States to speak to you. So that is the end of Chris's Corner.
I stumbled on this completely by accident because, like you, I didn't know that this was happening, and I had heard that it wasn't going to happen like you did. I was flipping around through the stations on the way in here, and all of a sudden I heard Donald Trump's voice, and I heard a woman say, "I'm blah, blah, blah from ABC." And I'm like, did I miss a debate? Is there something happening? Is there a town hall? And so I listened to it. Donald Trump went to the event, and of course he was excoriated by the liberals. Harris Faulkner was there, though, and she helped rehabilitate him and ask him some decent questions. And then Chris, the latest thing I heard was at the very end, they said, oh, by the way, Kamala has reconsidered. She's going to join us later by Zoom.
Good. Well, they completely relented on that. 5:07, Tony Leutkemeyer will join us, and we'll have the speaker's thumb speech. And at 5:24, Sam Gray's Congressman from the 6th District. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Biden's border crisis, China buying our farmland, Sam Page disrespecting our seniors. We're under attack. It's time to fight. I'm David Gregory. I created a law that authorizes Missouri to detain illegal immigrants. I've never voted for China to buy Missouri farmland, and I sued Sam Page to give our seniors their tax freeze. I'm David Gregory. I'm already fighting for you as your next state senator.
Paid for by Gregory for Missouri. Joe Garavaglia, Treasurer.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Re-elect State Representative Tony Lavasco. Tony Lavasco eliminated licenses for home-based businesses. Tony Lavasco, rated 100% by the American Conservative Union. Tony Lavasco, the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life and by the NRA. Tony Lavasco, the only choice for small, limited government. On August 6th, vote Liberty. Vote Lavasco.
I'm Tony Lavasco, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Citizens for Lavasco. Dan Rakers, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Hamas's top political leader was killed Wednesday by a pre-dawn airstrike in the Iranian capital. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel was asked about Iran's supreme leader, saying it's Tehran's duty to extract revenge for the Hamas killing.
I'm just not going to speculate on what the supreme leader may or may not be referring to, and don't want to speculate on the actions that the Iranian regime may or may not take. We are continuing to urge restraint to all parties to avoid an escalation into a wider regional conflict.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel will exact a heavy price from any aggression against us on any front. It was his first public statement since the killing of Hamas's top political leader Ismail Haniyeh in an airstrike in Tehran. His comments didn't mention the killing. Arrests at the southern U.S. border are down. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
U.S. authorities say United States-Mexico border arrests have plummeted about 30% in July to a new low for Joe Biden's presidency. That's according to 2 U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials who spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity. The U.S. Border Patrol is expected to arrest migrants about 57,000 times this month, down from over 83,000 arrests in June. That would be the lowest monthly tally since September of 2020. The halt on asylum applications would end if daily arrests drop below 1,500 over a 7-day average, a scenario that Customs and Border Protection officials are preparing for. Jennifer King, Washington.
President Nicolas Maduro has asked Venezuela's Supreme Court to conduct an audit of the presidential election after opposition leaders disputed his claim of victory. Maduro's announcement drew immediate criticism from foreign observers who said the court is too close to the government to produce an independent review. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Berkeley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-511-1551. 800-511-1551.
The new 2-part documentary, Trump's Front Row Joes, is the first inside look at Trump's diehard fans.
The Front Row Joes are incredible people.
Camping out for days to be in the front row at every Trump rally to support their hero.
The kind of basis for all the rallies, there's like dead fans.
Trump's Front Row Joes, from executive producer Sean Spicer.
You had to love Mr. Donald Trump.
Trump's Front Row Joes. Watch it now. Go to salemnow.com. Salemnow.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, mainly expecting a dry evening, just a slim chance for a spot shower storm, better chance to the northeast. And then a low of 81 degrees, warm and muggy in the morning. There is a chance for a few storms in the morning and the afternoon to early evening. That could keep it a little cooler than we expect, but right now expect intense heat, 96, heat index 103 to 107. By Friday, mostly sunny, just a 20% chance for a spot shower storm in the afternoon, a high of 90 though, as it definitely gets a little cooler and a little less humid. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
By now, you've heard Adam Schnelting's false attack ads. Don't buy his lies. Adam Schnelting says he opposes the transgender agenda, but he's trying to conceal the truth. Schnelting has received more than $71,000 from liberal trial lawyers. Those same trial lawyers supporting Schnelting also gave over $100,000 to a liberal group that supports men playing girls' sports, supports men using girls' bathrooms, and even supports gender mutilation surgeries for minors. To make matters worse, Adam Schnelting says he supports our gun rights, but he's received thousands from leading anti-gun lawyers that filed a massive lawsuit against gun makers and gun owners. But that's not all. These liberal lawyers don't just fund Adam Schnelting's campaign, their anti-gun lawsuits, or the transgender movement. They've also been leading funders of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and even the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. Adam Schnelting. With friends like that, conservatives just can't trust him. On August 6th, don't forget Adam Schnelting. He's loved by liberals, and he lies like one too.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Missourians, our future is under attack. Tax hike Mike is fixing to devour your hard-earned money with gas taxes galore and another sky-high fee on your next car purchase. Kehoe's policies will flat-out destroy your wallet. His big old bus is fueled by donations from Chinese communists and George Soros surrogates. But there's hope. Jay Ashcroft, the true leader who fights with integrity against the lies, higher taxes, and the Jefferson City swamp. Vote Jay Ashcroft for governor now.
Paid for by Friends of J. Ashcroft PAC, Alexandra Lang, Treasurer.
Looking for the ultimate golfing experience in St. Louis? Look no further than Sugar Creek Golf Course. As the most popular golf course in the region, Sugar Creek offers 18 holes of challenging play, designed for all skill levels on rolling country hills with stunning views. But it's not just about the game, it's about the experience. Friendly staff, new Yamaha golf carts, freshly paved cart paths, and renovated clubhouse will make your day on the course a pleasure. Sugar Creek Golf Course, the perfect place to bring your team or friends together. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Are you in need of new windows for your homestead? Well, I've got the one-stop shop for you. Window World. Window World, simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. 314-993-1800, 24/7 at windowworld.com. One of only two window companies in the entire country that carry the coveted Good Housekeeping seal of approval. But wait, there's lots more. 20 years in the business, Window World has improved the look and thermal efficiency of over 70,000 of your neighbors and friends around the region. They use a double strength of glass, incredibly durable, not usually used in most replacement windows. So that's significant in and of itself. Thermal efficiency is built right in, and every single window comes with a lifetime warranty. These are going to be the last windows you're ever going to buy. Covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor that lifetime warranty does. If you already have Window World windows, hey, they also do tons of entry doors, sliding glass doors, siding, and so much more. Think you can't afford them? Think again. 0% financing plans for up to 36 months. 0% up to 36 months. And an incredible commitment to customer service, exemplified by that lifetime warranty, and so much more. Any questions? Want a free in-home estimate? Give them a call. 314-993-1800. 314-993-1800, 24/7 at windowworld.com. Windowworld.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
In Missouri, it may be a sense of deja vu for voters. An amendment requiring a boost to the minimum funding requirement for the Kansas City Police Department back on the ballot a second time.
Republican State House Rep Chris Brown is one of the lawmakers who helped pass legislation calling for the city of Kansas City, Missouri, to fund its police department at that 25% level as long as voters statewide supported it. Kansas City is the only police department in the state overseen by a board of police commissioners as opposed to the city council.
One of the many matters we'll be voting on next Tuesday, August the 6th. Missouri's statewide primary election is right around the bend. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 5:09 here in the PM Central Time, 7:31, July 31st, 2024. Chris, we have a big, busy ballot, and many of us probably weren't even thinking about the fact that we've got two constitutional amendments. These aren't just simple ballot questions. These are going to be proposals that could amend Missouri's constitution for like the umpteenth time.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. And as someone who makes his living here following politics in the news, I am and it's not up to speed on these constitutional amendments, as I should be. So I'm glad that we're going to have our next guest to talk about one of those in particular.
Yes, and for those of you who are, I know because of our two huge FM signals, which cover a huge chunk of eastern Missouri and beyond, because of all of our streaming platforms on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, many of you are listening from, way, way beyond the St. Louis area, but a lot of our listeners are on this side. You may be thinking, well, why do I care about the Kansas City Police Department? Well, because it affects the whole state and because you're going to be voting on this, whether you know it or not. We're going to talk to State Senator Tony Leutkemeyer here in a second. We'll have a brief speaker stump speech right after that where I'm going to help you with your homework for Election Day. I've got some resources for you. And then it just happened this way. We're going to have two fellas on from the western side of the state. We're going to speak to Congressman Sam Graves about the FAA reauthorization bill and other matters because he's on the House Transportation Committee, and he's the chairman of that very powerful committee indeed. All right, without further ado, let's get to our first guest, our first friend from the other side of the region. Let's talk to State Senator Tony Leutkemeyer, the 34th Senatorial District, joining us here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Senator Leutkemeyer, thanks for being with us today.
Tim, thanks for having me. It's great to be back on the show.
Yeah, great to have you here, Tony. Now, Tony, you and I spoke very briefly earlier in the week, and I was talking about the fact that I was having some deja vu about this, and you reminded me that, yes, we did vote on this proposal before. Would you explain, we'll dig a little deeper. Chris and I will dig a little deeper with you, but can you give us the 35,000 foot on what this proposal is for, what your position is on it, and why has it come before voters, twice now, I think, in the last 4 years?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what Amendment 4 would do is it makes a change to the state constitution to authorize the Missouri legislature to set minimum funding for certain police departments. And I actually filed this legislation in response to attempts by the Kansas City City Council in 2021 to defund the Kansas City Police Department to the tune of over $42 million. And so Amendment 4 will prevent future radical attempts by big city mayors like Quentin Lucas and Tashara Jones from defunding the police. And you know this, we've seen a wave of violent crime across Missouri. And at this critical time, we need to have more support for our police, not less. And a yes vote on Amendment 4 is a vote to back our police officers and push back against these radicals who are trying to defund them.
Senator, if a smaller municipality or city wanted to do a constitutional amendment to do the same thing, could they do this as well, to have minimum funding for their police department?
So what this constitutional amendment applies to is to any police department under state control. Okay. Now, right now, that happens to be only the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. But, as you all probably know, the way that Amendment 4 is written, it could apply in the future to the St. Louis Police Department. And the reason is the St. Louis Police Department used to be under state control. Now, that changed a few years back. And as you know, now Mayor Tashara Jones has political control over that department. I think that's been a failed experiment, and we've seen skyrocketing crime in St. Louis in part because of Mayor Jones's attempts to defund the police in St. Louis. And so I know that we have several St. Louis area legislators who are working on this, like my Senate colleague Nick Schroer, Representative Brad Christ. They have both introduced legislation in Jefferson City for the last two sessions to put St. Louis back under state control. Now, if that were to happen, Amendment 4 would apply. So that is another reason why St. Louis listeners in particular should care about what happens with the statewide vote.
Speaking to Senator Tony Leutkemeyer, state senator for the 34th Senatorial District, talking about an issue that's going to affect every single one of us because it's going to be on all of our ballots next Tuesday, 6 days away. Senator, since you brought up the issue of the state control, I was there back in the House when the state control of the St. Louis City Police Department was ended after a proposal went through and was voted on by the voters. And I was not happy about that. I spoke against it. I voted against it. But there was a big tidal wave of folks who felt that we needed to try this. As you put it, the experiment has failed, hasn't it, Tony? And I know there's a lot of effort going on in the legislature to try to now unwind that. Why do you think that's a good idea? And number two, what would you say to people about the local control argument that they often use to push back on this?
So the first thing I would say, and I can speak from experience in Kansas City, there is still local control. So the way that state control works, whether it's in Kansas City or St. Louis, the 4 police commissioners who are appointed by the governor have to be either St. Louis or Kansas City residents. Their nominations have to be sponsored by and confirmed by a local state senator who represents one of those 2 cities. Typically, in a state control situation, the mayor is the 5th member of the board. So the 4 members appointed by the governor, they control effectively the police department, but the mayor has a voice. Now, what Mayor Lucas wants over here in Kansas City is what you guys have in St. Louis, which is local political control of the police department. And what that means is we have progressive politicians in City Hall controlling our police departments. Now, that's something that I am opposed to, whether it's St. Louis or Kansas City. And you only need to look back at the actions of both Quentin Lucas and Mayor Jones in their efforts recently to defund the police. It shows why liberal politics and big law enforcement do not mix.
Senator, are there constitutional concerns regarding Amendment 4 because it seems to target one city in particular?
So, no, it doesn't actually target one city. As I mentioned before, it applies to any city, and that number could change in the future, any city that has state control of its police department. And aside from that, we do have many laws that impact just the city of Kansas City or just the city of St. Louis. In fact, in state statute, we have a specific way of referring to St. Louis. It's a city not within a county. And there are literally hundreds of statutes that apply only to the city of St. Louis. And there are provisions of the Constitution that also apply only to the city of St. Louis. And so there would be no constitutional issues with this, frankly, since it's in the Constitution. By definition, it cannot be unconstitutional.
And Senator, we can tell. I know, and we can tell from you have deep experience in a lot of the criminal issues going on in Jefferson City. I know you've carried a couple of larger bills to address a multitude of issues. With the rash of crime that we've seen, especially in the interurban areas, which has been spilling out into the suburbs, into the exurbs. I know you've got good relationships across the aisle with some of your colleagues. Are they starting to at least maybe admit to you behind closed doors that we've got to do something about the crime crisis in St. Louis, in Kansas City, in Springfield, and in Columbia before people just decide that it's just not safe to live in Missouri any longer?
Yeah, I think there is a realization by some of my Democratic colleagues of that fact. We actually, I sponsored a omnibus crime bill this year that did receive bipartisan support. There were a number of Democrats that voted against it, but several of my Democratic colleagues crossed the aisle and voted in favor of it because I think they realize what you just pointed out, that when you have the level of carnage that we've seen, particularly in St. Louis and to a lesser degree in Kansas City, and we've seen Springfield numbers crop up recently, that is bad for the state. It's bad for our residents. It's bad for our economy. It's bad for our national reputation. And so we need to make sure that we're cracking down on violent crime. And that is really what this measure, Amendment 4, is designed to do.
Senator, what is the opposition saying against Amendment 4?
Well, what the opposition would say is really what Tim was speaking to earlier, and this notion that we should have local political control of our 2 major police departments. Again, I disagree with that. I think we've seen over the years with this wave by the progressive left of trying to defund police departments that big city liberal mayors cannot be trusted to run these police departments. We cannot allow St. Louis and Kansas City to turn into the next Portland or Seattle, which is exactly what is going to happen if we don't pass Amendment 4.
Senator, before we let you go, are there any resources out there? I mean, this was an awesome conversation, and we'll podcast this and we'll put this up and we'll direct people to it. But is there anything out there where people can go back and look at the proposed text before they go vote, or any kind of pros and cons pages or anything like that? Have you posted some stuff about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, if they want to see the text of the constitutional amendment in full or the ballot question, they, of course, can visit the Secretary of State's website. I have put a lot of information out on social media. You can follow me on either Facebook or Twitter at Tony4, spelled out F-O-R, Missouri, Tony4 Missouri. So either one of those will direct you to my Facebook or my Twitter account. And I would also say that we've had a lot of people that have sponsored and promoted this Amendment 4 to make sure that it passes. So we've got endorsements now from the Missouri Republican Party, U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt, Congressman Eric Burleson, Congressman Mark Alfred, who represents a portion of the Kansas City area. And interestingly, your next guest, it sounds like Congressman Sam Graves, my congressman, has also endorsed Amendment 4. So we've got a lot of great surrogates who are out there promoting this, making sure that voters know how important it is to support Amendment 4 and to back our brave men and women in law enforcement.
Fantastic. Tony Leutkemeyer, state senator for the 34th Senatorial District, taking on an issue that is vital to our entire state as a whole. Senator, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, explaining what Amendment 4 is all about.
Thank you, sir.
Tim and Chris, thanks for having me.
Thank you as well. All right, Chris, I'm going to do a quick speaker stump speech on a couple of resources people can utilize when they go, additional resources from what we've already mentioned that people can utilize when they go to the polls next Tuesday. How to help you do your homework. Subject of
that their brain? Use their brain?
Yes.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
So, first of all, go get your sample ballot for next Tuesday. Now, many of you, all of you should have received a copy in the mail. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you threw it out. Maybe the dog ate it. I don't know. But you did get that sample ballot in the mail. If you don't have it, you can't find it. Joey, I believe in your voter guide, people can access how to get their ballot there. There's a link, I think, there.
Yeah, Ballotpedia is really trusted resource for that. We have that in the links.
Excellent. So first thing you want to do, folks, get your sample ballot. It's out there. It's available. Many of you may have it sitting on the coffee table at home. So review that ballot. That's number one. That's going to help you do your homework as well. Don't just walk blindly into the voting booth, because you're going to look at that sample ballot. And if you're taking one of the major party ballots, of course, in a primary, you don't have to, you can register as a Republican or Democrat, but we don't have required registration. So you can literally walk in on election day and say, I want Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, whatever. If you're pulling Republican or Democrat, especially if you're pulling Republican, there's a lot of people running for a lot of things. That's why I urge you to do your homework first. Now, you're going to wonder, who are all these people? If you wait till election day, if you wait till you get into the voting booth, you're going to be sitting there going, what did Tim and Chris say about so-and-so? Why are there 8 people running for Secretary of State? Who are these folks? Who did they say was good or bad or ugly or whatever you may have it? I'm going to urge you to do your homework on that ahead of time. And how can you do that? Well, anybody who has served, and many of these people have, not all of them, so I can't help you with all of them with these resources, but I can help you with a lot of them. Many of the people running for governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, and attorney general, neither of those guys were legislators, but all the other offices, there are legislators running for those higher offices. I have 3 resources for you to check out where you can look at ratings of these legislators. These are well-respected national groups. One of them, the granddaddy, of course, is CPAC. You've heard of CPAC, right? Well, CPAC has a Center for Legislative Accountability. All you need to do, and I'll post these on the Twitter feed, and of course, Joey will be podcasting this afterwards, ratings.conservative.org. Ratings.conservative.org. You can look at U.S. Congress, you can look at state legislatures, and you can go into a deep dive of many of the votes, the key votes that have been taken over the last few years by many of these legislators. A second one, it's newer, but boy, I really like this one because they go deep into not only bills voted on, but amendments, right? Because some people try to get things done through the amendment process, through the budgetary process, and the Institute for Legislative Analysis, which is actually run by a bunch of CPAC alumni, they've got a great scorecard as well. Limited limitedgov.org. Limitedgov.org. They don't have all the states on there, but guess what? They've got the state of Missouri. They have a Missouri scorecard. For those of you who know your legislators in the House and Senate, when you look at the scorecard, you're not going to be surprised. The folks that you hear are the movement conservatives, like the ones we've had on this station. Senator Bob Honor, who's running for Congress. We talk about Eric Burleson a lot, Nick Schroer. They're near the top. Some of the other ones, like Lincoln Huff, who's running for lieutenant governor, is the second lowest rated Republican in many of these scorecards indeed. So it matches up to what you might think, but it gives you confirmation. Finally, you know this group as well, the Club for Growth, the National Club for Growth. David McIntosh and the good folks at the club have put out state economic scorecards. They don't focus on the socially conservative issues. The Institute for Legislative Analysis, and I believe CPAC does. Club for Growth stays in their lane of fiscal conservatism. They have the Missouri State Economic Scorecard. That's very easy to find as well. clubforgrowthfoundation.org. clubforgrowthfoundation.org. Let me go back to these scorecards. The Club for Growth, clubforgrowthfoundation.org. The Institute for Legislative Analysis, limitedgov.org. And, of course, the big granddaddy, CPAC, ratings.conservative.org. I urge you to look at all three because they have different systems. They do different bills. There's a lot of commonality, but I'll tell you this. When you look at all three, you'll also see a lot of commonality between the Republicans that rise to the top, the cream to the top, and you look at some of the folks who don't do so hot, and they all commonly fall to the bottom. Got to do your homework. No matter what you look at, no matter what you do, don't just watch the commercials and the ads. For those who have legislative records, I strongly encourage you to review those as well. Make a holistic decision. That's the subject of today's Speaker Stump Speech.
You know, I've got an entrepreneurial idea for some enterprising young person. They'll make a mint. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
But the judges for St. Louis County, I would love to have something with their record, some type of rating, because you're just going in there blind. And some of them, I'm sure, are good, but I just vote against all of them because
I agree with you.
I don't know anything about them.
I agree with you, Chris. I get it. That's the question I get asked the most. How do I find the judges? I think there's an arcane site out there. I'll try to find it. But you're right. Yeah. If someone were to put some money into that and broadcast it, I think they'd make a ton of money as a young entrepreneur.
They would.
Chris, we're going to step aside here. Congressman Sam Graves waiting to speak with us next. We're going to talk to him about the FAA reauthorization bill and everything else going on in his committee, the House Transportation Committee, of which he is chair. Next, Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019-941 News Talk STL.
Someone always playing corporation games. Who cares? They're always changing corporation names.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, mainly expecting a dry evening, just a slim chance for a spot shower storm, better chance to the northeast. And then a low of 81 degrees, warm and muggy in the morning. There is a chance for a few storms in the morning and the afternoon to early evening. That could keep it a little cooler than we expect, but right now expect intense heat, 96, heat index 103 to 107. By Friday, mostly sunny, just a 20% chance for a spot shower storm in the afternoon, a high of 90 though, as it definitely gets a little cooler and a little less humid. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
My name is Justin Sparks, and I am running for re-election to the Missouri House of Representatives, District 110. I have been knocking on thousands of doors, and I want you to know I've heard your concerns. As a former police officer, I heard your concern about the wide open southern border and wanting to keep our neighborhoods safe. I will continue to fight to protect your Second Amendment, and I will fight to protect the lives of the unborn. I will fight to keep the woke ideology from infecting our schools and affecting our children's future. Go to sparksformissouri.com and tell me what you think, and stand with me on August 6th.
Paid for by Sparks for Missouri, Tim Fitch, Treasurer. Attention thrill seekers and fun lovers. Did you know the Midwest's largest wooden roller rink is right here in Missouri? Welcome to Piccadilly Palace, your ultimate family entertainment destination. Glide across our massive skating floor, conquer arcade challenges, put your way through mini golf, and dive into cutting-edge virtual reality experiences. And coming soon, a relaxing bar and grill patio, state-of-the-art golf simulators, and heart-pounding two-story go-kart racing next to East Central College in Union, Missouri. Plan your visit now at PiccadillyPalace.com. That's PiccadillyPalace.com.
Attention voters.
The truth about Phil Cristofanelli may surprise you.
As state representative, Phil was endorsed by Promo, a Democrat-led LGBTQIA+ organization with extreme views.
Promo pushes for sex changes for kids, males and girls sports and bathrooms, and teaching gender confusion in schools.
Phil's record speaks for itself.
He voted to allow boys and girls sports.
And pushed to teach sexual orientation and gender identity in public schools.
Is this the leadership we want? Think carefully when you vote.
Paid for by Leadership for America PAC, John Royal, Treasurer.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
What people need to understand is Kamala Harris picked up the border czar for one reason, because she wasn't going to fix it. They knew she wasn't going to fix it. She supports sanctuary cities. She compared ICE to the KKK. She slandered the men of the Horse Patrol for whipping black migrants, called them racist when we know it wasn't true. She has spread sanctuary cities across the entire state of California when she was Attorney General. And I find it strange that President Biden the other day was bragging how illegal crossings are down 50%, which are not, but they're claiming they did a great job on the border. But Kamala Harris is running away from that, which tells me even they know it's a joke and this border's out of control. It's a wide open border.
And that was former acting ICE director Tom Homan saying, wow, Chris, Kamala was chosen to police and try to do something about the border because they knew she'd completely ignore it.
They knew that she would ignore it, and she purposely ignored it. I remember when she was appointed the border czar and months passed and nothing was going on. There was speculation that she was avoiding it on purpose. She didn't want to touch it with a 20-foot pole because she may have presidential ambitions in the future and didn't want to be associated too closely. So it was deliberate on both ends.
And I'll bet that absolutely unchecked, unfettered illegal immigration affects all of our institutions and all of our infrastructure, like our transportation systems. We've got a guy who would know about that. We're going to talk to him about this issue, about the FAA reauthorization bill, and a lot more. Congressman Sam Graves, Missouri's 6th Congressional District. Congressman, it's great to speak with you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
So Congressman, Chris and I are sitting here in St. Louis, Missouri, in the middle of the country, and maybe we don't know so much about what goes on in D.C., but I seem to remember not too long ago that Kamala Harris was given a job by Joe Biden, and I don't know if the title matters. The word czar gets thrown around a lot these days. So whatever her title was, Congressman, you have a front row seat to a lot of this. Was Kamala Harris put in charge of this border chaos and crises, or are we just completely making that up?
No, we're not making it up. She was put in charge of the border, and that was their term, was border czar. And it was a colossal failure, an absolute colossal failure, and it's still a failure. They haven't changed their policies, and we've let millions of illegal aliens into this country.
Congressman, your esteemed colleague, the most honorable Representative Jason Smith, who's chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, passed a pretty significant bill a few months ago. It was a bipartisan bill that would expand the child tax credit. It's been over in the Senate. It's kind of languished. There's Republicans over there. They're not happy with some of the revisions in that bill. Chuck Schumer is calling for a vote, I'm hearing, tomorrow on that bill. What do you predict will happen?
It's really hard to tell. In the Senate, the Senate's a much different animal, and obviously Chuck Schumer is in charge, and he does not want to pass extensions or improvements or expansions on the tax policies that President Trump put into place. He certainly doesn't want to do that, and so he's obviously got a reason he wants to bring this to the vote. He believes he's got the votes. It's just hard to tell at this point, to be honest with you.
And Congressman, that leads me to my next question. I think this is one of the most, look, I know we don't live in a fair world, but boy, our national media sure doesn't ever try to play fair. My understanding from talking to many of your colleagues and folks in and around DC is that the House has been, despite some of its drama over the last 2 years, has actually been fairly productive, has gotten back to what's called regular order, has tried to pass budget bills, has passed a lot of significant legislation. The Senate under Chuck Schumer has done little to nothing, and you've given them a lot of good legislation for all Americans to act upon, haven't you?
We have. We've done the defense reauthorization. We've actually got into law the FAA reauthorization. That is obviously passed both houses, but we still see a lot of these bills language. We sent appropriations bills over. We have sent the WRDA bill over. We have sent Coast Guard reauthorization over. We've sent a lot of bills over that have gone absolutely nowhere in the Senate, and it's frustrating. It really is.
Congressman, today is August 1st. As you know, the government fiscal year ends September 30th. The House and the Senate have not yet reached a top line FY 2025 on spending levels. What are you predicting? That they're going to pass a CR in the lame duck session, or is this going to drag into a new administration? What's your prediction?
My prediction is we'll probably pass a CR. I think that's the only thing that we can possibly pass, and at this point, and then it will drag into either a lame duck or be carried over, depending on what happens in the election. It could be carried over into the next Congress as well.
Speaking to Congressman Sam Graves. Congressman, you mentioned that FAA reauthorization bill. That was your bill that you shepherded through the process. I think most Americans probably, I know you are a lover of aviation and flight, and it's so important with our interstate commerce system here and internationally. But most Americans probably don't think much about it. They just take what happens with the FAA reauthorization bill for granted. Why is that important to Missourians and to our nation as a whole? And give us some of the highlights from that very critical piece of legislation.
Well, it's important because we're a nation on the move, and it's easy for us just to jump in an airplane and go anywhere in the world, for that matter, whether that's an airline or a private plane or a corporate plane, whatever the case may be. But we want to keep the skies safe, and the United States is the gold standard in aviation safety, and we want to keep it that way. But there's a lot of great things in this bill, a lot of good consumer protections for folks that fly on the airlines. There's an entire GA title, general aviation title, that is the first time ever we've had a general aviation title in the bill. And basically that's because everything starts out in GA, whether you're a mechanic or you're a pilot, chances are you got your start in general aviation. And so it's kind of the bedrock of our whole aviation system, and we want to make sure that it stays vibrant. We've got a workforce title in there to make sure that we have plenty of folks out there for air traffic controllers and pilots and flight attendants and mechanics. That's another huge part of the aviation process, is the jobs out there, and highly technical jobs. So those are some of the highlights, but it was a really good bill. Very proud of that bill.
Speaking with Representative Sam Graves of Missouri's 6th Congressional District. His district covers much of Northwest and Northeast Missouri, our 94.1 listening area. Congressman, I have a question for you, and I want to lobby you at the same time. We've had David Stokes from the Show Me Institute talking about the proposed Metrolink expansion here in St. Louis that's going to cost $1 billion, and it's really a route that's not really doesn't make a lot of sense. There's not a lot of people that are probably going to ride it. I want to lobby you that please make sure that this money is not spent on this boondoggle here in St. Louis.
It's point taken. Point very well. There's a lot of cities. I wouldn't necessarily consider St. Louis a city that needs that needs an expansion of that. But that's just me talking, me thinking. I guess I could be persuaded. But
I agree.
Nobody's been able to convince me yet. Let me put it that way.
Congressman Sam Graves is the chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. He's also a member of the House Committee on Armed Services. Congressman, I was surprised to read this in your bio. I knew that we all know that Missouri has some significant military bases stretched out across our state, and we love our military here. I remember in the state legislature, of course, we always put veterans and our military members first every single year for all the priorities they had. Didn't realize it's a $15 billion military footprint in our state, and something we want to continue to support. Has it been a struggle the last few years to get everything we need for our military here in Missouri and across the country under this Biden administration? Should we be doing more?
We should be doing more. We have to make sure that our men and women in the armed services, that they have everything that they need to do their jobs all over the world, and that they also are able to maintain a quality of life like everyone else. And we do have a huge footprint. We've got Whiteman Air Force Base. We have Fort Leonard Wood down in southern Missouri. We've got Jefferson Barracks. We've got the 139th Airlift Wing up in St. Joe, and any number, you name it, a number of guard units throughout the state of Missouri. We are a very heavy armed services community, and in St. Louis, that also includes the Air Force Base just across the river in Illinois. There's a lot of people that work over there but live on the Missouri side of the river, and so we have to make sure that they have everything they need to get the job done that they've been asked to do, and in many cases that's all over the world.
Congressman Graves, a lot of Missourians are asking, what is the status of the congressional investigations on Hunter and Joe Biden's finances now that Joe Biden has stepped down from seeking the nomination? Are these investigations going to fall by the wayside? What should we expect to see in the coming weeks and months?
I don't think they're going to fall by the wayside. I think you're going to see the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee continue with their investigation and try to get to the bottom of what happened and what took place. We just can't have that in government, and that's the main reason why we can't let up on that. We can't take the foot off the gas.
Mm-hmm. And Congressman, I noticed that you put a post up. I think kind of reflecting the views of many Missourians and Americans in general about a bipartisan agreement on Capitol Hill, maybe the most bipartisan thing we've seen over the last few years regarding the Secret Service. You put a post up just a few days ago at Rep. Sam Graves saying, hey, look, the former director has resigned, but today's oversight hearing, which occurred a few days ago, made it clear that the failure to protect the former president, Trump, fell squarely on our shoulders. Congressman, in the subsequent hearings that have occurred, are y'all getting any answers, or is it just causing more questions to be asked?
It's causing more questions to be asked. And what happened was absolutely, it was inexcusable. And I don't care if it's a sitting president, a former president, a candidate for president. I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. Their job is to protect them from threats and from individuals out there that are clearly have some mental issues, and they failed in just a colossal manner. And so we have to get some answers, and there's just a whole lot of folks out there that are pointing the finger in every direction that they can and not wanting to take responsibility for this. The acting administrator is taking some responsibility. It'll be interesting to see how that ends up, but we're still not getting the answers that we need to get. I think as much as anything else, it was just negligence.
Congressman, we're starting to see the dismantling of DEI in a lot of our institutions. I think Mizzou is dismantling their DEI program. So is the University of Florida. As we've stated, you serve on the FAA or the Transportation Committee, excuse me. And I remember there was a vacancy in that as the FAA director for a while, and there was the Biden administration and put an African-American man up for the head of that agency, and everyone agreed that he was very well liked and everything, but he had absolutely no experience with the job that he was being appointed to. He was definitely a DEA hire. Talk a little bit about that episode of trying to get him confirmed that he had no experience whatsoever in transportation.
Well, what was interesting was he had less knowledge about our aviation system than a student pilot knows. If he had just cracked open a basic or a private pilot handbook, he would have known at least something. But He knew absolutely nothing, and that came out loud and clear in the in the hearing, in his confirmation hearing. Then the administration, and this is one I don't mind giving credit where credit is due. The administration next put up Mike Whitaker. He's our administrator now, and somebody that I know, and somebody that is steeped in aviation, knows aviation, participates in aviation as a pilot and a commercial pilot, and that was the right call. That was the right answer. They did not have to go through that exercise with Mr. Washington. They found the right one on the second choice, and I think that was when they got the message they need to drop the drop at least whatever it is that they were trying to do. Whether it's DEI or whatever, but they finally got somebody that was qualified and somebody that was in there, and I was happy to support him, and he's going to do a great job. Their first choice was horrible.
Well done on all of that. Congressman Sam Graves, at Rep. Sam Graves on Twitter X, and of course you can find him at graves.house.gov. That's the website, the official website that the congressman hails from there. He's a congressman in Missouri's 6th congressional district, a huge swath of northern Missouri. Congressman, great to speak with you. Thanks for being with us here today.
And we hope you'll be back.
Oh, absolutely. Just give me a call.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Congressman Sam Graves, serving the great people of Northwest and North Central Missouri. Chris, just like that, it's 5:44.
He is. The day has gone by quickly. Little history on Sam Graves, and his brother was a former U.S. attorney in Kansas City, and they are connected to the Jeff Rowe organization. Jeff Rowe was the chief of staff at one time for Congressman Sam Graves, and worked for him to get him elected to a state representative post at one time.
Yep.
So time sure flies, and as they say, politics is very, very incestuous.
He has been in Congress for quite a while.
Yes.
Former rep, former state senator. When we come back, we'll tell you what's going on with Larry Connors USA at 6:05 and lots more. Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Tim Jones on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Personal report, Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We have a chance for a few storms in the morning, kind of isolated, but they could be heavy. A low of 81, otherwise warm and muggy. A high of 96, heat index 103 to 107. Something that could make it a little cooler is a few storms possible in the afternoon, anywhere from noon through about 7 o'clock. Chance for a couple storms, an isolated severe storm. By Friday, a high of 90. It's not as hot, it's not as humid, mostly sunny skies, but there is a 20% chance for a shower or storm in the afternoon. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
On the next, Larry Connors USA.
The Secret Service now admitting, yes, we made a lot of mistakes, but there's more to be uncovered. The latest details coming up.
Larry Connors USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, jhideout.com is where you're going to find your one-stop shop for Johnny's Hideout. Johnny's Hideout is a fantastic St. Louis sports bar and grill experience, and so much more. You know why I say so much more? Because Johnny's Hideout has a huge campus, a huge footprint in beautiful High Ridge, Mo. That's not far from anywhere in the county of St. Louis or any of our surrounding environs. I basically always say it's 20 minutes from everywhere. It's only 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. Just head down Gravois, down Highway 21, and you'll be at Johnny's Hideout in no time at all. Burgers, beer, delicious Johnny Dow's chicken wings, barbecue, and more. Proprietors Rick Pogue, our good friends, and Jake Kestner, along with Johnny Dowse, who is the general manager there, they have put together a gem. Johnny's Hideout featuring 5,000 square feet of space indoors. Wow. With a game room, really cool game room, 40, 50 big screen TVs, coldest drinks around. It's just fantastic. And on the outside, it gets even better. Sunset, especially this time of year. Sunset patio, Cattleman's Grill, the VIP areas, live music, tonight's bike night, classic car night, and so much more. Check out their calendar at jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout STL on Facebook. Johnny's Hideout is so fantastic. And yep, we will definitely see you there.
Friends, Joe Biden's inflation is hitting us hard. Gas and grocery prices are soaring, and our paycheck buys less and less each day. But as your representative, I fought for lower taxes, cutting wasteful spending, and bringing jobs back to Missouri. I stand for hardworking families, not Jefferson City insiders. I ask for your vote again so I can continue to fight for you. Vote Philip Olerking for State Representative, District 100, Let's make Missouri strong again.
Paid for by Phil Olerking from Missouri, Charles Barker, Treasurer.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The wait is over. President Trump endorses Bill Eigel for governor. Bill Eigel, true America First conservative and the first to endorse President Trump. Bill Eigel is the only candidate who will take on the Jeff City swamp. Listen to Trump-endorsed conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Bold conservative Bill Eigel. Ban personal property taxes. Deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Bill Eigel. Politicians hate him, special interests fear him, and Trump endorsed him. Vote Trump-endorsed Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC, paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
I'm Jim Bolin, running to represent West St. Louis County in the Missouri Senate. Growing up in Texas County, my dad always said, all hat and no cattle, about those who talk big but do little. I built a successful business, cleaned up City Hall as mayor, and now I'm ready to clean up Jefferson City. We need to jail repeat offenders, stop taxpayer funding for illegals, cut taxes, protect our children, and defend our liberties from the radical left. I'm Jim Bolin, and I would appreciate your vote on August the 6th. Let's get it done.
Paid for by Bolin from Missouri, Cindy Samagi, Treasurer.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL, Haunted Garage. And we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
Hi, this is former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch, and I am endorsing Mark Harder for the State Senate Race 15. I know firsthand, Mark has been a strong supporter of our police and first responders. Over the years, we sponsored legislation together to increase funding and equipment for our county police. We worked together to crack down on car and catalytic converter thefts and the proliferation of drugs like fentanyl in our community. Mark Harder is the right choice for voters in West County on August 6th.
Paid for by citizens to elect Mark Harder, Chuck McCluskey, Treasurer.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
This is the first time that McDonald's sales have dropped since the end of 2020. The Golden Arches reported a nearly 1% decline in sales at its U.S. locations from April through June. McDonald's says its prices are more expensive, in part because of higher labor costs. And now customers are cutting back, choosing cheaper options on the menu. Overall, the price of going out to eat is up about 27% in the past 4 years, while grocery prices are up 21%. And that gap is only widening so far this year.
5:52 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And how many times have we talked about it here, Tim? You go to a fast food restaurant, you get a couple of meals, and it's $30.
Yeah.
When it just seemed like yesterday you could get 2 value meals from McDonald's or any other fast food restaurant, and it was barely under $10. It's almost tripled in price it seems, in the last 10 to 12 years.
It may be fast, but it ain't cheap.
Exactly. I know Stell is happy about this. We're going to get a little campaign political news before we lighten it up some. Carrie Lake won her primary yesterday to be the Republican nominee in Arizona for Senate. She will face Ruben Gallego, representative there in Arizona. So it's going to be Carrie Lake against Gallego. This will be her second time running for statewide office in about 3-4 years. We will see if she is successful this time around. Tim, I got a story for.
I got a quick PSA as well locally. This was just texted to me. Oh, this is kind of funny. Bill Eigel, candidate for governor, Chris, will be in my hometown of Eureka tonight.
Fantastic.
How about that? He's going to be at Poor Richards, which is a famous Eureka watering hole, 6 p.m. tonight. So Wednesday, July 31st tonight, 6 p.m. Swing by Poor Richards. I might stop by on my way home. So there you have it.
They are making the rounds in these final days.
Yes, they are.
Joey, you are our social media streaming expert. Yes, you have been designated that. And I want to get your opinion on this story here. Nora O'Donnell, who, of course, was the main anchor on CBS News, is stepping down as the CBS Evening News anchor after the election this fall. And she's taking on a new role as a senior correspondent at the network. Now, you would say that this is probably a demotion because you remember back in the day, those 3 anchors, you never left. They were there forever.
Yes.
But she said she's going to be expanding. She signed a long-term commitment that includes a role of conducting big interviews for the network. Now, you say, like I said, that's a demotion. But here, listen to this, Joey. Rachel Maddow, MSNBC's highest-rated anchor, signed a major deal last year to reduce her weekday primetime hosting duties while she worked on other projects that can be accessed across NBC platforms. Sean Hannity, Shannon Bream, and other Fox News anchors have separate series on the network streaming service Fox Nation. So give us the future here of what we're seeing.
Going all streaming?
I don't know. The streaming has ruined everything. We are just building back the platform. You think, I'm just going to cut the cord. No, you're paying more than you were with cable now once you get all your Disney Plus and Netflix. But yeah, I guess CBS and what is there? I think Paramount Plus is their specific app. I don't know, man.
Does that bring more viewers that your so-called stars are having their own shows, even though streaming is not what it used to be? Is that the future, to get these people more access and more exposure, that makes more money for the networks? That seems to be their plan, but what do you think?
All of these apps are just waiting to get bought up by Warner Brothers Discovery and be bundled into Max. But it does seem like it's going to be easier on Nora because just like Oprah, she was on every single day. And then she just does one interview a year and she's still a billionaire with land in Hawaii. So I bet it'll be an easier gig for Nora, but it's not going to last. They're just trying to get a star on the platform so someone will watch it. Just like that CNN app. I mean, no one cared about that, and they had some big names on there.
I mean, first when I saw she's stepping down, no one steps down from these evening anchor jobs. Look, that's what you worked your whole career for.
You got to have a product people want to watch, though, and the CNN streaming service failed, but Fox Nation seems to be doing very well, and you have to pay extra for that. But they have interesting things on there. They have stars like Kevin Costner and such, and so. Chris, I think it all depends on what you're offering the viewers.
Recently, Rudy Giuliani's bankruptcy case was thrown out because the judge ruled that he was trying to hide assets and all of that, which leaves him open to the $48 million judgment, I think, against the election workers that owe him. Gateway Pundit's bankruptcy, Tim, was tossed out by a judge as well under the same arguments that they had plenty of assets to pay their debts, and their judgments. But it's not, they say they're obfuscating this. What does this mean ultimately?
I am not steeped in bankruptcy law. It's very complicated, but basically they may have to start all over again. They're not going to allow the bankruptcy to shield them from their creditors.
Okay. Good show today, guys. Up next, of course, is Larry Connor's USA. He's going to talk about the Hamas leader who was assassinated and Iran vows revenge. Slowly, more details of the Secret Service fail are surfacing, and transgender activists expect Harris to help transform children. That's on Larry Connor's USA up next, 6 to 8. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe. Have a great evening.
Biden's border crisis, China buying our farmland, Sam Page disrespecting our seniors. We're under attack. It's time to fight. I'm David Gregory. I created a law that authorizes Missouri to detain illegal immigrants. I've never voted for China to buy Missouri farmland, and I sued Sam Page to give our seniors their tax freeze. I'm David Gregory. I'm already fighting for you as your next state senator.
Paid for by Gregory from Missouri, Joe Garavaglia, Treasurer.
For over 2 decades, Joe Brazel has served St. Charles County with passion and dedication. As your county councilman, Joe has championed smart growth with Proposition S, protected our veterans by stopping military funeral protests, stood against excessive high-density housing, and supported the 2030 Master Plan for Controlled Infrastructure. Joe Brazel, a true patriot working for you.
I'm Joe Brazel, running for St. Charles County Council, District 2, vote August 6th.
Paid for by Citizens for Joe Brazel, Mike Summers, Treasurer.
Jefferson County, the future is bright. Vote Leslie Cheek for County Council.
Hi, I'm Leslie Cheek. I am not a career politician. In fact, I'm not a politician at all. I've been a businesswoman in the area for over 30 years, and I see this as an opportunity to share expertise in land use and bring a common sense and responsible approach to the issues important to the citizens of Jefferson County.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. Vote Leslie Cheek, my grandma, for County Council on August 6th. Let's move Jefferson County forward.
Paid for by friends of Leslie Cheek. Diane Berberick, Treasurer.
Tired of talk about election integrity? Shane Scholler takes action. As the chief election authority in one of Missouri's largest counties,